Hey everyone, it's Colin. How's it going? Lithium-ion battery technology offers amazing performance compared to what came before it, but like all batteries, they're gonna fail eventually. Now that batteries often come sealed inside devices in ways that make them hard to replace, I decided to see for myself what it would take to do what manufacturers don't want you to try. Okay, so long story short, a while ago the battery in my Samsung Galaxy S7 suddenly failed. I noticed that the phone wasn't lasting nearly as long on a charge, and when I looked closer, I found that the back panel and screen were starting to get pushed away from the phone's metal frame. This could only mean one thing, that the battery was swelling up and needed to be replaced. I turned the phone off and stopped using it while I figured out what I wanted to do. It was a spare device for me anyway, so I could take my time. Ultimately, I decided this would be a good opportunity to try a kind of repair I'd never attempted before. So I ordered a replacement battery kit and got down to it. I picked up a third-party battery from Amazon. There are a ton of these out there, and I'm not necessarily recommending this one in particular, but it did come with some useful extras like tools and replacement adhesive. It included instructions too, which while being accurate, I found to also be a bit brief. So I read up on this repair from other sources like iFixit, just so I knew what I was getting myself into. The most difficult task is also the first one, and it's removing the glass panel on the back. It's stuck down with strong adhesive, and if you just try to pry it off as is, it'll break the glass. I got out my hot air rework station and swapped its nozzle for a larger one. A heat gun from the hardware store probably would have worked too, but I'm not so sure about something like a hairdryer. I also kept a couple of extra tools handy, namely an explosion containment pie dish and a pair of heat-resistant gloves. Lithium-ion batteries are fairly sensitive to heat, especially ones that have already failed like the one in my phone. So while warming up the back of the phone to soften the adhesive, I tried to stick to just the outside edge where it was glued down and away from the area where the battery is. A small consolation to the battery swelling up in my phone is that it actually made getting the back off just a little easier. Since there was already a gap between the glass and the frame, I could easily stick a plastic pick in there so I could start prying the adhesive up around the other sides. It took about 10 minutes of alternating between heating the back and cutting through the adhesive with the pick, but I was able to get the back removed in one piece, and thankfully without cracking it. Next, I peeled up the remaining pieces of adhesive tape from the phone's frame and inside the glass back. Apparently you can reuse the tape in some situations, it stays pretty sticky, but since my battery kit came with a new pre-cut piece, it just made more sense to go with that instead. I put a microfiber cloth on my work surface to keep from scratching the screen. With the back off, you can get a better look at the swollen battery. This is due to a chemical reaction inside the battery that can happen as it ages, and if left unchecked, it could lead to fire or an explosion. Getting access to remove the battery was actually pretty easy. I started by unscrewing the antenna board towards the top, then carefully popped it free with the pointy end of a spudger. Next, I could tackle the wireless charging coil, which also came out pretty easily. There's no connector to detach for this. Samsung cleverly uses a pogo pin arrangement instead. Last was the speaker assembly from the bottom, which also just lifts away after unscrewing it. In total, there are 12 fasteners. They're all Phillips head and even happen to be the same size. Not bad. I then used a spudger to disconnect the battery's cable from the motherboard. The battery itself is stuck inside its compartment with strong adhesive, just like the back. Some tutorials suggest heating up the battery itself to soften this, but I didn't like the idea of that since my battery was already damaged. Instead, I simply and very carefully used the plastic pick to cut through the adhesive under the battery from one end. When I got enough of it free, I switched to a spudger, which had the added benefit of being able to support the battery so it wouldn't try to bend as I pried it up. The old battery and the new one look very similar, despite the new one being a third-party replacement. The people who made it seem to have done their homework a bit, as they not only matched the dimensions of the original battery perfectly, but also copied all of the markings from the front, including the ones in Korean. Reassembling the phone was thankfully way less stressful than taking it apart. The kit came with new battery adhesive, and I applied it to the inside of the compartment. Then I could just peel the blue backing off and drop the new battery in. The connector snapped onto the motherboard with a satisfying click. So far, so good. I got the other parts of the phone put back as they were: the speaker, wireless charging coil, and antenna board, then stopped to test the phone before I put the back on. It powered up just fine, like it should, and even still had about a 50% charge left on it. I made sure some other basic things still worked, like the speaker, then powered the phone back off again. While doing one last check before getting the back panel ready to go on, I noticed that there were a couple of marks on the corners. Apparently I had accidentally scraped these areas with the plastic pick while cutting through the adhesive. The pick couldn't flex enough to contour to the curve in the glass. These backs are actually made of clear glass that's simply been painted from the inside. I thought about removing the rest of the paint so the back would be transparent, but decided I'd maybe just save that for another day. Instead, I touched up these corners with a permanent marker. Hopefully it would blend in well enough when the back was on. Just like with the battery, I stuck the pre-cut adhesive gasket to the phone's frame, then used a spudger to firmly stick it down. It's worth noting that while the Galaxy S7 is listed as being IP68 water resistant, it shouldn't still be considered that after a repair, no matter how good of a job you do or who does it. It's just too difficult to perfectly seal the phone back up again. As for this phone, all I had left to do was simply remove the film and press the back into place. Overall, this repair went way better than I had expected. The phone pretty much looks like new, the gap between the back and the frame is gone, and even those two corners I scraped are just barely noticeable. The phone itself, of course, works as it should, though admittedly the new battery is still a bit of an unknown. Third-party replacements like the one I bought can be really hit or miss, sometimes even despite their ratings on shopping sites. And that kind of gets us to why I did this repair myself to begin with. My original plan was to just take the phone in to get an OEM battery professionally installed. Samsung has a few authorized repair centers where I live, and checking prices for them online showed that the job would only cost around $50 US. But when I showed up to drop the phone off, I was told the repair cost would likely be more than the phone was worth. And given its age, I'd be better off just buying a new one. Now, that store also happened to sell new phones, so I figured, well, maybe they were just spinning a story or something to try to make more money. So I tried another store, part of a big chain that also did authorized repairs for Samsung phones. But strangely enough, they said the same thing, that a battery replacement for a Galaxy S7 typically ended up costing something like $250. So I asked why their site said it was only $50 for a battery. The answer was interesting. Apparently, as part of getting an authorized repair, Samsung requires repair centers to test all parts of the phone, not just the part that's broken. And if any of those other parts don't meet Samsung standards, they have to get fixed as well. Customers can't decline just certain parts of the repair. It's all or nothing. The most common part to fail these tests is the OLED screen, usually due to burn-in. Now, burn-in's a normal thing with OLEDs, it just happens with time, but it's also one of the most expensive parts to replace. So that's how a $50 battery swap could turn into something way more expensive. The store employee I talked with said that at least with S7s, only about 1 in 10 he had seen come through for battery replacements needed just the battery replaced. The rest of them needed additional parts. Now, to Samsung's credit, they will warranty the entire phone after an authorized repair. It's almost like the phone is getting refurbished instead of fixed. But is that really necessary for a device that's, in this case, over 4 years old? I'd like the quality of a genuine battery, sure, but not if that's the cost. An average consumer that didn't know any better may just do as they say and buy a new phone instead. Now, if your phone is 4 years old, I wouldn't necessarily blame you. You were probably due for an upgrade anyway. But what if it was only 2 years old? As phone prices have increased, so have repair costs. It's possible that a relatively new phone could be broken beyond economical authorized repair simply because of Samsung's policies. So it seems like independent repair shops are really the better option if you own an older Samsung phone. No, they may not have access to original parts like batteries or screens, but it's still in their best interest to use good quality third-party parts to keep customers happy and maintain their reputation. In my case, it probably would have been about the same $50 cost to replace the battery, but that's all they would have needed to do. And in the end, I decided to just try the repair myself because not only was it a good learning experience, it was also the cheapest option by far. I only paid $15 for that kit. And even if the battery isn't quite as good as the original, well, at that price, I think I can live with it. If you liked the video, I'd appreciate a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at ThisDoesNotComp. And as always, thanks for watching.